Hey, Giants. Nick Smith here. And man, heavy on my mind today is the thought around difficult situations or challenges that come up that are unexpected, put you into a state of survival, right? Anything that knocks you off kilter and has your safety and peace compromised is what I want to talk about today. And I'm going to navigate this with you through the 12 Journeys framework so that you can get a sense of how the 12 journeys work. And I'll explain the 12 journeys as I go through this so that you have an understanding. Hopefully, my audio is good here. And you're welcome to comment. So if you have comments or thoughts, or you're going through something and you want me to help you navigate that, I'm going to do that this morning. The idea here is that, man, life seems to life. And we're going down a pathway. We've got a vision of where we want to go. And then something comes up that's totally unexpected and just really impacts, hits us. It just knocks our energy out of whack. We find ourselves in a state of survival, trying to survive the situation and the emotions of that situation. And it can be really heavy and it can be really lonely. And for a lot of us, if we're not equipped with tools to help us navigate this, then we succumb to those emotions and that emotional impact that hits us. And then we become very reactionary to our world and we start responding in a way that could create additional harm. And so what I want to play with today is showing you a framework to navigate those situations because, man, we all go through it. We are humans. And as humans, life is going to throw curveballs at us, things we didn't expect. We are going to face uncertainty. You don't know the future. If we can be very clear about this, is you don't know what's going to happen 5 minutes from now. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't know that a text message or an email comes through and it just throws you for a loop, right? Or something happens in your world that's unexpected, and man, your emotions are triggered, and you're just surviving. Right. So to me, a survival state is anything that is outside of peace. So usually when we're in a peaceful state, we start to create from there. We plant our gardens, we grow our dreams, all that stuff. Right. But when we're in a survival state, we are not at peace. Our bodies are triggered. The chemical responses are going. Our adrenals are firing. Our heart is beating fast. We can't breathe. These are the things that happen in that survival state. It might be from a space of anger. It could be depression. It could be anxiety. Whatever it is, we notice that we're in a survival state. So the first thing that we have to do is be aware of it. Because if we're not aware of it, then there's not much to do. We just kind of go with the flow of that, right? Which isn't always healthy. So the first step in any transformation is awareness. Right. So first thing you have to do is recognize it's happening. I'm in a survival state. The second step, and this is from the journey of acceptance. So when we teach the journey of acceptance, let me go back for a second. The journey of awareness, when I speak of that, a lot of times people are so hard on themselves for being in that state. They judge themselves, they justify themselves, they get mad at themselves, they cause themselves additional harm over what's happening. They go out and react and create additional harm out here. But what we're trying to do is just recognize that we've got something going on in us, that we wake up to it. We do it gently and compassionately and with empathy for ourselves for what we're going through. And the intensity of the situation, that's determined by how impactful it feels to us. Two people can face a situation and one will respond with peace and the other one will respond very reactionary. And so in either case, it doesn't matter. What you want to do is try and have some compassion for going through that. If your friend came to you and they said, look, I'm going through this and it's really hard and I'm struggling, you would probably have some empathy for them and say, look, I can understand that sounds really challenging. That seems hard. I'm so sorry that you're going through that. That doesn't feel good. I can imagine that doesn't feel good. The only difference here is that you're doing it for yourself. I'm sorry I'm going through this. This is challenging. This is hard right now. I'm feeling all kinds of emotions around it. I'm not shameful or guilty or blaming of myself over what's going on, right? That's the first step, is wake up to it. The second step that you'd want to go to is acceptance. Now, the journey of acceptance When we teach that, that journey is about acknowledging what is. That's looking at the reality exactly as it is, not trying to change it, not trying to change how you're showing up in it. Just saying it is what it is. This phrase people hate. When we go through our trainings, I've had people tell me to F off because of this phrase, right? The idea that you are where you are is a truth. You are where you are. What's going on is going on. It doesn't mean you love it. Acceptance doesn't mean that you love it. Acceptance doesn't mean that you want it there. Acceptance is simply an acknowledgement that it's there. So you're in this situation, you're triggered, this thing happened, it's happening. You're right in the middle of it. To acknowledge, this is what's going on, this is where I'm at, without any intention of changing it, really allows you to start to release from the experience you're having. Because what we tend to do is we judge that event, we judge what's going on in our world, we judge ourselves in relation to that, and that keeps us stuck. Most of us are in resistance about our reality, and when we're in resistance of our reality, then we can't heal it. And so your first step is awareness. The second step in transformation is acceptance, right? Right out of the gate. You don't have to love it. You don't have to try and change it. You don't have to resist it. All you're doing is acknowledging it. You're giving knowledge to the fact that it's there. This is what's happening in my world. It's not ideal. It's not what I had in mind, but it's here. Here we are. Those are the first two steps. Next is to work toward anchoring yourself in. About 2 weeks ago, we had Mark Peterson on our show. He talked about sliding down a crevasse in the ice when he was mountain climbing. And luckily, he slid down the crevasse onto a block of ice that was about the width of his body. He landed on that. He was 100 feet above the ground, so he could have still slid down, but he didn't. Luckily, he hit that. So he was where he was in a not ideal situation. And so the first thing he did was take inventory of himself. Am I okay? And he checked in with himself, and he checked his resources that he had with him. And the first thing he did is he anchored in. He anchored himself to the wall, the ice wall, and he anchored his pack to the ice wall so that he wouldn't slide backward. So this is the journey of empowerment. So when we look at the journey of empowerment, it's tools and resources that we have available to us to anchor ourselves in. We don't want to slide backward. We don't want to self-sabotage. We don't want to make the situation worse than it is, right? So the goal with the journey of empowerment is to anchor yourself in so that you're not sliding back down the hill, right? Making the situation even worse than it was. So you anchor yourself in and you self-soothe in a way. Dialectical behavioral therapy, if you look at that, it's all about tools for surviving difficult emotions. There's a book called Calming the Emotional Storm, and the author talks about different dialectical behavioral therapy tools, DBT tools, that help you to survive the difficult emotions. The first thing you want to do is when you acknowledge there's something going on and you're aware of it and you accept that, okay, this is where I'm at, the next thing you want to do is anchor in, okay? So you anchor in and you start using these tools to help soothe your body as much as you can. You do breathing exercises, you get mindful. If you can't do it on your own and you're struggling, get help. Get somebody that can help you do that. I used to call my brother or my sister, and I would reach out to them and say, "Look, I'm struggling. I can't do it today. I need somebody to anchor me in. I feel the emotion of this," because they were always there. You know, it could be your therapist, it could be your coach, it could be your mom, your dad, your best friend, somebody that you can reach out to as a lifeline. You're like, I am struggling. I just need some help, right? This is what I'm struggling with. And to have somebody that will hold a neutral space for you without judgment about what you're going through and just to kind of hold you in space, right? Hold you in place. When you can do that, then we can acknowledge, the other journeys, the root journeys that are there, which are non-consciousness, awareness, grief, acceptance, gratitude, and empowerment. These are the root journeys. Because what happens is we look at the future of what's going to happen from here, and we look at the uncertainty and we start to predict negativity. We start to predict the worst possible outcome. And so when you're predicting your future of what's going to happen from this situation, from the disempowered state that you're in, you start to see negativity. You start to see the worst possible outcome. You start to self-sabotage and have self-fulfilling prophecy that it's going to go wrong. And it tends to, because what you bring into it is that disempowered state. We don't want to do that. What we want to do is really anchor yourself in and then start to heal yourself as much as you're able to elevate yourself so that when you look at the unknown, you can see some hope and some possibility for resolution, even if you can't see it clearly. I don't need you to believe fully that you're going to create a positive outcome from the situation. But what I want you to do is, number one is, awareness, the journey of awareness. Be gentle with yourself about what's going on, that you're triggered, you're in a survival state. Accept and acknowledge that it's going on. Anchor yourself in. Then feel the feelings. The journey of grief is about feeling the feelings. If you're triggered and your body is expressing anxiety or anger or depression, tune into the sensations in your body. Accelerated resolution therapy says that you focus on the sensations, because once we start labeling things, we change them. So we're not feeling what we're feeling what we're labeling it as. And so you really want to feel the sensations, not the labels. Don't label it as anxiety. Don't label it as depression. Don't label it as anger. Just feel the sensations. Oh, I feel butterflies in my stomach. I've got a lump in my throat. I have shortness of breath, right? I feel pressure in my kidneys. Feel the sensations and fully feel them. What does it feel like? You can move from there towards labeling if you'd like, but don't start with labeling because you don't know what's going on. Maybe it's not anxiety. Maybe it's not depression. Maybe it's something else, right? Maybe it's PTSD or complex PTSD, and it's a blend of all of those things, but you label it as this, and then you think it's that, so you're operating from that, but it's not that, right? So pay attention to the sensations. Fully feel them. Edith Eger in her work talks about expression as the opposite of depression. So when you can express your emotions, you can start to release those. And the challenge with many of us, we're taught to stuff our emotions. So we shove them down and we block them in, and they get stored in the body like a filing cabinet. And we don't know where we stored them. Then we go get a massage and somebody hits a point and we're bawling on the massage table because we didn't know emotion was stored there. Emotions are stored through the entire body. So the more you can feel these sensations and express, where is that sensation in my body? Where am I storing that? Where am I feeling that? What does it feel like? Really tune into it. That expression helps to release that energy out of your body. The next step is to express gratitude. And this is hard because gratitude, you might not be grateful for what's going on. We had Kit Volcano on our show, and he talked about the positive, looking for the positive in everything. What's positive about what I'm going through right now? So the journey of gratitude is acknowledging the good. And the acknowledging good is the first step to abundance and growth. When you can start to recognize the positivity in your world, it elevates you. You start to release dopamine and serotonin in the body, and it elevates your mood. So you start to elevate. And when you can elevate, then you look at the future and the unknown and the uncertainty. You see hope. You see possibility. You start to imagine better things. Right? When you look at the unknown from a disempowered state, you see despair, you see hopelessness, you see no way out, right? And then in a fear-based control state, you start to act as if it's going to go chaotically. And so you create more chaos, and guess what happens, right? Chaos happens. So your job when you're triggered, when you're in a survival state, number one is to survive the survival state. You have no responsibility growing a garden when there's a hurricane going on, right? You don't plant your garden, your tomato plants in the middle of a tornado, right? You kind of let the tornado clear, you look at the damage, you reassess, you clean up, and then you plant your seeds in the calm, right? We don't plant our seeds right in the middle of a hurricane. So really pay attention to that. When you're in a survival state, don't try and thrive. Don't try and go create a brighter future. Survive the survival state and elevate your mood as much as possible. You don't have to be perfect. Even the word perfection comes from the Latin perfecere, which means to perform and to complete. So if you're doing it and finishing it, then you're doing it perfectly by definition. All we're trying to do is satisfy, which means good enough. It's from Nobel Prize winner Herbert Simon, to satisfy our energy. that it's good enough that we can start to explore our future in a more positive direction. But if you are only seeing negativity and you're only seeing death and despair and all these terrible things out there, and that's your point of view, then you have no right to be out there visioning something better until you at least get yourself elevated to a point that you can manage the emotions and then look for the positive out here in the future. So, what I would do instead is go back to the root journeys and look at the non conscious ways of being. How am I showing up automatically? How are my behaviors? What is my attitude? What is my perception of the situation? When you're calm enough, you can explore where that all came from. But if you're not, you just survive the emotions. You try and anchor yourself in so that you don't make the situation worse. Right. So, non conscious journey is all about recognizing where all of your perceptions, attitudes, beliefs, character, behaviors, habits, automations, where all those came from, and to recognize that we all have some version of that. And so that's probably what's having you perceive the situation the way that you are. It's helping contribute to that. When you can recognize that and you can wake up to it with a gentle awareness and fully express your sensations and your feelings in your body, and then acknowledge that this is going on, the journey of acceptance, and then express gratitude for what's positive about this, and anchor yourself in with the journey of empowerment so that you don't backslide, it elevates you. It creates peace in the storm. It creates calm in the storm so that you're not backsliding, right? What tends to happen is when we have a terrible situation, an event that we weren't expecting, and we get into our heads, and then we start to interpret that event from our point of view, we drop. And if we don't anchor ourselves in, we drop even more, and we drop more. And then what happens is if we want to get back to a better state, we have to close the gap first and then grow. But if you can anchor yourself in, all of the emotions are still there, then you're not having to cover the gap, right? Instead, you're anchored in and you're able to elevate from there, right? There's somebody that said you would outperform 90% of the people in the world if you would just not self-sabotage in your lows, right? So the journeys are designed to help you anchor in, to learn tools so that you can anchor in, so that you don't backslide. Because it's hard. Life can be hard. Life can be really challenging. And if you have this framework and these tools, then it makes it easier to recognize, oh shit, I'm right here on the map. This is where I'm at, right? It's not ideal. This isn't, I want to go over here, but I'm right here. This is what's happening. And then to recognize and take inventory of what's going on in your world and what you do have that's positive, because you are stronger than you used to be. And to use that to anchor yourself in and then move towards your goal, right? So my goal, my job is to help you learn this framework, this 12 journeys framework, because it gives language to what you're going through at every stage. There's still the growth journeys that I haven't talked about, of uncertainty, abundance, surrender, vision, nurture, and then the legacy journey, which is the impact you want to have in the world. But when you're in a survival state, the last thing on your mind is impact and legacy. When you're in a survival state, you're not thinking about self-care. You should be, but you're not. Self-care helps prevent some of that backsliding. But when you're in that survival state, your only responsibility is to survive the survival state, elevate yourself enough, and then work on the growth journeys, then work on imagining beyond what is, then work on using the abundance that surrounds you, then look at possibility of everything that you could ever imagine is already around you and ready to go. You just have to transform it from what it is into what you have in mind. Then look at surrender, where you let go of the pathway. You don't know how it's going to go. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know how you're going to create your dream or vision. Nobody does. So surrender is about letting go of how it comes about and when it comes about and in what quantity it comes about. And then nurture, the journey of nurture is taking small steps. And that you can do in a situation like this is take one small step today to help yourself grow. Take one small step today to maintain and anchor yourself in. One small thing, one micro movement that helps you to anchor into your life because you're deserving of it. And then when you elevate enough, then we'll look at legacy. We'll look at vision. We'll look at growth. We'll look at all that. You'll have plenty of time for that. But where you're at right now, when life gets hard and life hits, and it will, and I promise you it will, life will go in ways you didn't expect and you didn't want it to. It's not your ideal. Our goal is to get you into flow again. to trusting life, to trusting yourself within life, because you are the power. You are the one that has the power to navigate it. You may not think that you do, but you do. And I promise you that. And if you can't do it on your own, reach out for help. And I don't care if it's me or your therapist or your best friend or your sibling or your parent, I don't care who it is. Raise your flag, so to speak, and let them know I'm struggling. I'm having a hard time doing this. I can't pay my bills this month. I had this happen and it threw me for a loop. You know, a relationship said this about me and I'm really struggling to manage it. Can you help me? We are wired for social connection, and you are not alone. No matter how much you think you're alone, you need that social connection, but nobody knows you're struggling if they don't know. Let me have you hear that. Nobody knows you're struggling if they don't know. And a lot of times we're so afraid to tell them that we're struggling that we don't raise our flag and say, I could use a hand. I'm struggling. I've tried to do this on my own. I'm really having a hard time breaking through. There are plenty of people in your world that do love you, that will stand beside you, and that will support you and help you navigate, because life's man, and it does it to all of us. It does it to me. It'll do it to you. And so my hope with this message particularly is that you could see the possibility of the 12 journeys framework in navigating life's most challenging moments and develop tools and abilities and skills to help you get through it more quickly. Yeah, sometimes people can't handle your struggles. It's okay. You find the ones that can. Okay. And so that's what we want to do. I love you guys. I appreciate you being on here with me. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up there. You're welcome to continue commenting. Go back through and watch this a few times, because there's a message in here for you in your struggles. This message is for your struggles. So if I could just quickly reiterate, the pathway is: number one, recognize you're in it. Number two, acknowledge and accept that you're in it without resignation. You're not resigning to it. Number three is anchor yourself in. As soon as you're able to anchor yourself in, go feel the feelings, right? Number five is express the gratitude. Express gratitude for what's going on. If you can do any processing around the old past and your history and who you think you are, do that. Do that. If you can't, have somebody help you do that. But as soon as you get yourself to a state that is good enough, that's elevated enough, then start exploring positive possibility for your future. And so you're welcome, Alina. Thanks for watching. For everybody that's on here, I hope this serves you. I wanted to give you a sense of my 12 journeys and what we're up to. My 12 journeys, just to give you a sense, is from the book, The Giants and the Smalls. It's our framework that we use in our own coaching businesses, and we also have partners that use it within their coaching businesses. And so it's a program that helps you have a framework that you can work from, a language for healing, a language for the holistic nature of being a human. There are 12 journeys, 12 being the number of completion, and they deal with everything from your non-conscious world all the way to the impact and legacy that you want to make in the world. There's a huge need right here, right now, for people who have actually gone through the healing journeys and the growth journeys that are looking to leave impact and legacy. And this can help with that. It helps people who are in their growth phase. It helps people who are in their survival phase, the root journey. So no matter where you're at, these journeys in combination will help you to start to navigate and accomplish your dreams. And so I'd love to have you come and join us over at my12journeys.com. It's $10 a month to be a member of it. And we try and serve you with information like this and resources to help you navigate life's uncertainties and to become strong and powerful the way that you were intended to be, because you are already equipped with greatness. Now let's bring it out. And so come join us there. If you're looking at bringing the 12 journeys framework into your coaching practice, or you're a therapist or consultant and you need a framework, an additional framework to help your clients, this is a powerful framework. It's based on evidence-based research and philosophy and spirituality. So it can incorporate everything. It's non-religious in nature. It's non-cultural in nature. So it should fit just about every situation. It's fairly neutral and could be used with what you're currently using. So thanks for watching for a moment. I appreciate you being a part of this. And I will see you in the next video. Make it a giant day. Take care.